It was clear for all of last season that the Boston Celtics would be right up there as contenders this year. The team was dominating the regular season with Kyrie Irving leading the charge with his dazzling dribbles and incredible ability to hit tough shots. And then the Celtics shocked the NBA when they took LeBron and the Cavaliers to a Game 7 without Gordon Hayward or Kyrie Irving. Now, Hayward is set to play his first game as a Celtic, and Kyrie Irving is ready to return for what he would hope is an entirely healthy season. But this video will focus in on the return of just Kyrie Irving, how I expect him to play, and the effect he will have on the Boston Celtics this upcoming season. And ask the question, could Kyrie Irving play so well that he's a chance to win the MVP? While the Boston Celtics were clearly one of the best defensive teams last season, they were not up there in terms of offensive efficiency, especially when Irving was off the court. Kyrie was the driving offensive force, using his incredible ability to break down defenders, get into the paint, and finish at the rim to collapse defenses and create spacing for the other players on his team. The advanced stats point to how effective Irving was on the offensive end, but you simply need to have watched Boston's playoff run to see just how sorely missed he was on the offensive side of the basketball court. This was particularly apparent in the playoff games that Boston lost. The team would usually come out strong and score with a variety of threes, layups off of cuts, and good team basketball. But inevitably, there would be a stretch of play where the other team would lock in and limit the effectiveness of the ball movement of the Celtics and thus their scoring. This happens to every single team in the playoffs, and when it happens, teams will throw the ball to their best player and ask them to create their own offense. For the Celtics in the playoffs, there was no clear best player to create in isolation. Isolation isn't Al Horford's specialty. Jason Tatum was only 19 years old and performed admirably. Jaylen Brown also did at times, but still turned the ball over and has too loose a handle to be the number one isolation option. And then there was Terry Rozier, who at times relied too heavily on the three. But all of these players performed admirably when asked to create in isolation, as did Marcus Morris. But none of these guys have anything on Kyrie Irving when it comes to creating buckets out of nothing in a game of basketball, especially in the playoffs. The main reason for this is that Kyrie Irving has one of the most dazzling and spectacular handles in all of basketball. Irving can dribble with incredible precision with either hand and crosses over faster and more accurately than almost anyone else in basketball. This crossover is combined with moves behind the back, spinning away from the defender, and stepping back as well. All of these moves are with the aim of creating separation from his defender, either by getting them behind him or by creating enough space to rise up for a jump shot. Now, a lot of guys in the league can do this, but perhaps what separates Kyrie from the rest of them is ability to chain dribbling moves. Irving will step back or spin while maintaining his dribble when most players would gather and get ready to shoot immediately. By doing this, it allows him to wait until his defender has reacted to judge whether or not he will shoot or execute a counter move to get even more open. He's able to do this partly because his release is so fast and his shot so accurate. This shooting gives him the extra time to react while still being able to get his shot off. Irving's jump shot from the mid-range also contributes to this isolation success. Defenders are forced to come right up to Kyrie due to how accurate his jumper is. They cannot give him an inch of space. If they do, he'll simply rise up and shoot with one of the most accurate mid-range jumpers off of the dribble in the entire league. And the fact that defenders have to come up because of this makes Kyrie's job of blowing by them even easier. They have no space to make a mistake. One slip and all they are looking at is the number 11 on the back of his jersey before he makes a layup or a floater. And Kyrie seems to take this to another level in the playoffs and in big games. Watching his 55-point game against the Spurs for the Cavaliers, or his back-to-back 40-point nights against the Warriors in the 2016 finals, Irving stepped up in the clutch and made shot after shot in tight situations where scoring a bucket was seemingly impossible for anyone. This all culminated in the shot he made in Game 7. With the scores tied at 89, Kyrie pulled up for one of the most iconic three-pointers of all time. This kind of shot making will be immense for the Celtics this season. They'll be able to rely on Kyrie to score the ball when things aren't going well, as well for him to create for them if teams begin to double team him. But the beautiful thing about Kyrie is that he doesn't do this every single possession. Irving is a great team player who is happy to play within Brad Stevens' system when it is required. This system is focused on ball movement, movement of people off the ball, and screens on and off the ball also. The system is designed to get the best available shot for the team. These styles of systems requires all players on the team to buy in. Just one player taking over and attempting to put shots up in isolation will lead to the system having minimal effect on the game. Kyrie does this perfectly. He doesn't take over unless the coach and the team need him to, and in the Boston games last year, he balanced his responsibilities of playing a team game and playing in isolation amazingly. In Brad Stevens' system, Kyrie essentially plays the role that Isaiah Thomas played in his incredible season there. He is responsible for handling the ball, running pick and rolls, and distributing the ball to open players while attacking the paint to collapse the defense. One of the primary ways this is done is through pick and roll and coming off of screens and dribble handoffs set by Al Horford. Kyrie and Al form one of the hardest to stop pick and rolls in the entire league. This is due to both of their ability to score all over the court, shoot threes, and pass the ball well. When Kyrie comes around an Al Horford screen, there are seemingly infinite possibilities. He can pull up for a three, take a dribble in for a mid-range jumper, drive for a layup or a floater, or pass it to Horford. And here is where the possibilities come in. Al can do so many different things when he comes out of a screen. Horford is excellent at slipping screens early to get to the cup. He can also roll traditionally alongside a guard and fade out to 3-point lines. This combination means that teams have to decide what look they are going to let the Celtics get, and most of them decide on doubling Kyrie. This forces them to scramble back to Big Al when he fades to the 3-point line and to hedge when he rolls to the paint. When Kyrie hits Al at the top of the key, it is essentially over for the opposing defense. He's a lethal 3-point shooter, and when awkward big men close out on him, he slips past them with ease to get to the rim or to easily pass out of double teams. The pick and roll game between these two is absolutely deadly, and when you surround it with the shooting and secondary creation of Brown, Tatum and Hayward, you have the potential for an incredible offensive system. And this pick and roll game was lacking when someone like Marcus Smart was running the offense last season, as teams could be confident he wasn't going to pull up from three and destroy them. Because even if he did shoot threes, they don't go in at a high enough rate to truly punish opposing teams. This allowed teams to stick closely to Al Horford or the other big man and not create a breakdown in the defensive structure. And I'm not saying that Marcus Smart is a bad pick and roll player. I actually think he's quite underrated. It's just that Irving is better. And Irving being back and driving the pick and roll offense will be a huge advantage for this Celtics team in this upcoming season. And when he isn't driving the offense himself, Kyrie is a fantastic player to have on the court due to his elite 3-point shooting. Now you don't want Kyrie standing in the corner all game, but the extra shooting on the court will be fantastic for guys like Hayward, Tatum and Brown to drive into the paint. Last season, you could see when Marcus Smart was on the court that teams were able to drop back into the paint more and double and even triple team players on drives. Sagging off of Kyrie is a completely different story, and teams simply won't do it. And this means that you simply can't come off of any players in the Celtics starting five. Kyrie, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, and Al Horford can all shoot the three at a very high clip. This Celtics lineup will have even better spacing than the Warriors and the Rockets, who usually have a few guys who don't shoot the three above 33%, in Clint Capella, Draymond Green, PJ Tucker, Andre Iguodala, and Sean Livingston, for example. Now, this isn't to say that they'll be better than these teams, but simply that the spacing will be incredible. Guarding the Celtics will be an absolute nightmare. If any of their starting five get past their defender in a one-on-one context, it is game over. Teams will have to double or hedge, and whoever they come off will be wide open for a three, and they shoot it with such a high consistency. The same thing will apply for pick and rolls, and teams will likely have to switch every single screen if they want to contain the Boston offense and limit their 3-point attempts and scoring at the rim. But if they do this, then they are going to have problems with having a small guard on Al Horford in the post, or having a big guy try to contain Kyrie Irving on the perimeter. In short, the Celtics offense is going to be incredible this season. The only team in the league that has a clearly better starting lineup is the Warriors when Boogie returns. But I think the Celtics are very close, and have a much deeper bench than the Warriors. The Celtics have Marcus Smart, Terry Rozier, Aaron Baines, Marcus Morris, Daniel Tice, and other strong players on their bench as well. This will allow them to have deeper rotations during the regular season, as well as having different looks against different teams. And this is what will help the Celtics be one of the best regular season teams this upcoming season, and potentially in the postseason as well. Most teams do not have this depth, and any inevitable injury to one of their players will cost them large amounts of wins. If any of the Celtics starting lineup is injured for a brief stretch, then they have the depth to cover it and the scoring power to maintain their offensive production. They also can't really be exposed by bigger players such as Embiid and Boogie either. Brad can simply elevate Baines to the starting lineup and have him bang with the bigger players while Horford moves out to guard the 4. I predict the Celtics are a real chance to win 60 plus games and even potentially crack the 65 win mark, especially due to the amazing coaching of Brad Stevens to go alongside their incredibly deep and talented roster. And this level of wins will be enough to elevate Kyrie Irving to consideration for the MVP award. Last season was his first year in Boston, and he still averaged 24.4 points and 5 rebounds per game on nearly 50, 40, 90 shooting splits. This was all while adjusting to a new system, battling small niggle injuries, and not having a full off-season to prepare for playing for Boston. This year, Kyrie will enter the league aged 26, right in the middle of his prime, with a full year playing under Brad Stevens and a well-rested body aside from the knee he injured. I predict this upcoming year to be one of the best that Irving ever plays. We saw this with Isaiah Thomas, who went from averaging 22 points and 6 assists in his first full Boston season to averaging 29 points and 6 assists in his second full season with the Celtics. This astronomical leap can be attributed to his hard work, but I think part of it has to do with adjusting and learning Brad's system, and I expect Kyrie to make a similar sort of jump. The only thing holding him back from a true chance of winning the MVP is how many amazing players are on his team. I just don't think Brad is going to let Kyrie have a high enough usage to get 18 shots off a game and put up huge numbers that would have him winning the MVP. A lot of this will depend on how much of the load Irving has to take on, and part of me wants to see him putting up these huge numbers. It is for this reason that some people predict that Irving may leave the Celtics after this season and go somewhere like New York to be the true star of a team and put up as many shots as he likes. I personally think this is possible, but unlikely. Irving would be simply crazy to leave the Celtics, who are basically a sure thing to be a contending NBA team for the next 5 years. MVPs are one thing, but championships are another. I think Kyrie will accept a more limited role with the Celtics and pursue team success over his own individual accolades, and Boston is the place to do that. And this season might be Kyrie Irving's best chance at a championship and an MVP as well. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications as well. And let me know in the comments what you think of Kyrie Irving and the Boston Celtics this season.